Hi, I'm David Penn, research analyst with Finovate. We're here at Finovate Europe 2022 in London, and joining me is Christoffer Malmer. He is head of SEBx at SEB. Christoffer, thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, thank you.
Yes, so to start off, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself and the work you do at SEB?
Absolutely. So my name is Chris Malmer. I'm responsible for a business that we call SEBx, and we've been around for 150, 160 years, and of course facing now an increasing pace of disruption across our industries. What we've decided to do is set up something we call SEBx, which is really set up organization at the fringe of the organization to be able to make faster decisions, try new technologies, explore new product developments, and really kind of accelerate pace of digital transformation within the bank as well as within the industry at large.
Very interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about some of either the projects or the directions that SEBx is going in right now?
Yeah, so we started a bit more than 3 years ago, we started out with a very clear dual purpose. So we want to build new products to make sure that we actually build something that comes to market, something we can bring and add value to customers. At the same time, drive that digital transformation and innovative kind of forces within the bank. The first product we launched is called Unquo. It's a product specifically dedicated towards self-employed in Sweden. Oh, okay. And we want to be able to broaden that, of course, both product and feature-wise, but also geographically over time. But that's now live and went live beginning of last year. And we're really kind of in that first phase of iterative processing, trying to find product market fit, working very iteratively with new versions and new features, and then kind of launching and building on the data that we're getting in. In parallel with that, of course, to make sure that we also drive the broader innovative agenda for the bank, underneath that Unquo product sits a platform, a technology platform that we built from the ground up on the side of the traditional legacy infrastructure. Cloud native, where we're working together with a number of technology partners. And this platform is now being used more broadly by the bank as well. So we're starting to build applications on top of that infrastructure. And the third leg of SEBx is now also to offer out this platform as a service. Okay. So we're offering banking as a service, and we are actually, as we speak, in the middle of signing our first external customer who will be building their value proposition and their user experience on top of that platform without being a bank. So we'll take care of the banking pieces, and in this case, a Nordic company that will then build their value proposition on top of us.
Yeah, very exciting. There's your banking as a service for sure.
Absolutely.
Right. So now you're going to be part of our power panel coming up tomorrow, I believe it is, looking at digital acceleration in banks.
Yes.
Can you give us maybe a little preview of some of the things that you want to highlight?
Well, look, it's a brilliant group of people on that panel, so I'm really looking forward to both share our experience but also learn from them. I think it's easy to pit kind of incumbents versus fintech in a way, and I think our experience is much more that there's so much value in the intersection between the two. So we are both investing in fintech companies, working together with fintech companies, and a number of the partners that we're working with within SEBx are fintech companies, both in terms of core banking processing, in terms of certain AI functionalities. So we're excited about both working together with and leveraging the capabilities and knowledge of other corporations. Yeah,
very interesting, and maybe I want to return to that in just a bit, but I wanted to ask you, in terms of the challenges that a lot of institutions face, you said SEB's been around for about 150 years, did you say?
Yeah, a bit more than that actually, yeah. Okay. 1856 we were formed.
Oh, good grief, so it's been around for a little while. So one of the things you might be particularly helpful in explaining is some of the challenges of legacy systems and of legacy thinking, for lack of a better term, and how, as you've been able to do with SEBx, do you create a culture of innovation within this sort of established legacy system?
Yeah, I mean, you're spot on. It's not just technology, it's the ways of working really. It's a combination. I think when we started SEBx a bit more than 3 years ago, we said, if we only get to work with cloud, if we only get to work with AI, if we only get to work with ML, that will send us into the kind of new digital era. But it is so much more, to your point about the ways of working, how we're setting up the teams, how we are recruiting talent, and how we are working. So redesigning banking for me is not just kind of running a bank as we've always done it, but with new technology, but it's really redesigning processes and everything that sits around it. So you're right, it's really about both sides. And for us, driving that agenda broadly across the bank, but within SEBx, of course, we can have a higher pace. We can try more things more quickly because we are in a kind of an autonomous unit sitting next to the kind of incumbent organization, but then frequently sharing our learnings and experience back into the to the mothership, if you like.
Yeah, interesting. It seems like a very excellent and wholesome feedback that goes on, feedback loop that goes on.
That's a critical part of the initiative, really. And I think when we set this out from the very beginning, we didn't really know which direction it would take. And it was an important part of the venture to say, we're not going to do like we traditionally would have done, a project with clear milestones, clear deliverables at clear certain points in time. We said, look, very broadly said, we're going to explore new technology and we're going to build new products. Those two things will have to find their ways. And the only kind of, prerequisite we have is that dual strategy to make sure that we are both driving the digital transformation for the broader bank, but also not making sure that we're not going to be like in a laboratory where we just look at cool technology, but there's products coming out. So those two in balance, I think, are critical in the way we've gone about executing this.
Right, and I wanted to go back to the other point that you made, and actually you sort of echoed it here, that the debate between competition and collaboration. And it sounds like, as far as that you're concerned, there's definitely a major role to be played from a collaborative point of view.
I completely. I mean, we back in 2015 at SEB, for example, we changed our venture capital arm from investing in everything except financial services to investing exclusively in financial services.
Wow, complete reversal.
Complete reversal to say that, hey, this is a new breed that we want to work together with, and we want to understand more, both as a financial investment, but critically from a learning perspective.
Right.
The first investment we did was with Tink, that you may know of, that is just recently announced the completion of their sale to Visa. So that's been a fantastic journey, of course, both as an investor, but critically also as a partner. They are now powering the consumer app within SEB. So we're using that technology. But we're also, we've learned a lot from working with a company that was like 12, 13 people when we first working with them. And now they're well into the hundreds and they're delivering technologies to companies all over the world. And that experience in sharing and learning has been critical for us. And now we have a handful of investments, and we have one investment in a company here in the UK, Thought Machine, that you may know of as well, a core banking. That's a core banking partner that we have within SEBx. So the ability for us to kind of work with fintech, both using their technologies, investing in companies, learning from them, and then growing together, for us, that has been a very positive experience.
Wow, very interesting. I'm thinking maybe by way of wrapping up, we could talk a little bit more specifically about technology, and in terms of either technology or technology trends that you see that you think particularly noteworthy, that you sort of think that people should maybe keep their eye on.
I mean, there's so much going on in this space. I think for us, one of the critical differences between building technology today and when we look at the way that we've done it over the last 160 years is, I think, of course, tools are available now that simply weren't available back in the days when the legacy systems have been pieced together. Let's say a lot of European and I'd say banks globally will have built a lot of the technology stacks during the 70s and 80s and early 90s. A lot of those that are now being kind of reinvented and redesigned. What we're trying to do is trying to keep more flexibility, more modularity. So the ability to put new products into the stack, new technology partners into the stack, but also to take them out. So not just building a platform that cannot be changed, but trying to keep that flexibility as part of the DNA of the platform. That for us, it's not easy. It's not like these day and age things are like Lego. You just piece the things together and then it all kind of works. But things are very different from where they've been in the past. So I think there's an opportunity really to decide. And I think also we're thinking from a strategic perspective, where do we think that our relative competitive advantage is? Maybe it is not in certain parts of the stack. Maybe there's certain, we don't think that we should do cloud better than anybody else. So we're going to work with a cloud provider. We don't think we do core banking processing better than others, so we're working with Thought Machine for that piece. And then we're finding technology partners across the stack, but certain parts of the technology stack, we really think that we have an edge, and we want to be the ones building, designing, and developing those parts of the technology. And of course, the closer we get to the user interface, that's also where we're building a lot of the value. But of course, when we're then offering this out as a service, a lot of this sits in the in the banking know-how.
Sure, absolutely. Very, very interesting. And again, I'm looking forward to your power panel tomorrow, where we'll probably hear a lot more about some of these items as well.
Looking forward to that as well, and thanks for the chat.
Absolutely, and thank you. Thank you for joining us as well.